As at 2019, China is said to have a population of over 1.4 billion people, a population bigger than the population of the entire Western Europe combined. According to World Population Review, China in 2022 is the second largest economy in the world after the United States, considering nominal GDP at $14.14 trillion, and the largest economy in the world when using GDP based on purchasing power parity at $27.31 trillion. It has seen an average growth rate of 9.52% between 1989 and 2019. China exports 41% of the world's computers, meaning that there is a 1/3 chance that the computer you are using was imported from China. It exports 34% of all air conditioners in the world, followed by Thailand. It exports 70% of the world's mobile phones and the largest manufacturers of ships in the world. China, which has now become an economic threat to the G7 groups, which includes France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United States, the United Kingdom and Canada, as it rise to power wasn't noticed. How did China get to the top of the ladder without getting the attention of the world? Welcome to Knowledge Climb, the place where we build a generation of impactful people. Before you continue on this journey, remember to like this video and subscribe, so we can bring you more amazing videos in the future. Subscription is free. Let us go back to the Second World War, where China and the United States were allies against the Japanese. In order to win the war, the both countries were producing everything they needed at the fastest speed possible. Chinese citizens were working to create clothing and war needs for the Chinese army. The war went as expected and the US won the war, but China wasn't the same. There was a fully blown civil war between two Chinese factions, one supported by the United States government, led by Chiang Kai-shek, and the other faction, which was the Communist faction led by Mao Zedong. The war ended in 1949 with the Communist faction winning and creating the People's Republic of China. Mao's created a communist economy where everything was owned by the state, and the people were able to enjoy from the state's wealth, but in order to make the state buoyant, the country had to be able to produce everything they needed, as well as to be able to provide for foreign nations. Mao felt betrayed and didn't want to have anything to do with Uncle Sam or any other Western country. To get this done, Mao had to use force. People were forced out of their farms to begin work in factories, and they were not going to complain because they were going to be punished. Also, the state owned everything in it. While this was going on, China was suffering, but they didn't ask for help from the Western nation. While all this went on for a very long time, Mao decided to allow American President Nixon to visit the People's Republic of China in 1972. It was believed that the two countries wanted to cement their relationship and the world was expecting great news, but in 1976 Mao died, but the vision didn't die with him, as Deng Xiaoping, who became the new supreme leader in 1978, was willing to do business with the West. In 1979, Deng created four economic zones in China where factories will be situated and businesses with the Western world could be done in these zones. These zones are Shenzhen, Zhuhai, Shantou, and Xiamen. This experiment was a great success. China also began to build homes and factories so as to accommodate their population. China aimed at creating the same product that were in the West at a lower cost, leveraging on its population as its workforce. Cheap labor and little to no tax was on advantage of the businesses in the zones. With the success of the zones in the aspect of industrialization and exportation, the government decided to open the Shanghai Stock Exchange in 1990. At this point, China's population was reaching the billion. A country with growing economy and a large population was all that was needed for foreign investors to come into China. While these companies were rushing into China, they could only meet the demands of a very few, because most Chinese citizens couldn't afford their products. With this, counterfeit goods started to rise. Just as China began producing these counterfeit goods, they started exporting them to the world. While the Chinese government says it will crack down on manufacturers of counterfeit goods, it has not done anything to stop it. China and Hong Kong has led the world's largest exporters of counterfeit goods, followed by Singapore. Still growing, China needed to become a member of the World Trade Organization, and to do so, they had to allow healthy competitions between China and other countries. China agreed to let other people import goods into its country, as well as allow large foreign corporations easy entry. In 1998, the United States supported China into becoming a part of the WTO. China becoming a member of the WTO allowed its GDP hit $1 trillion, and this was just the beginning. In 2003, Hu Jintao became the leader of the People's Republic of China. China kept on exporting to the United States until the Great Recession, where the world got hit, and the US wasn't going to buy goods from China. The Chinese government decided to bail out its companies by giving $586 billion to them so they could keep running. Remember that the government owns everything. Since the world was in trouble, China decided to make goods for its citizens. The power in numbers. After the recession, China began to invest in different countries including Africa, Southern America, and other countries in Asia. After the emergence of the new supreme leader, Xi Jinping, China decided to expand its investments and work on its Belt and Road Initiative. This project aims at allowing China to be able to do trade with as many countries as possible, especially countries that are not economically strong and needs loans to grow their economy. With Xi Jinping putting in a lot of money into China's economy and military, it is becoming glaring to the world that China is aiming to become the world's leader in all aspects without going to war. Currently, China is the second largest economy in the world, but do you think it will become the world's largest economy one day? If you do, what year do you see this happening? Thank you for watching to the end. Please subscribe and like this video so we can be motivated to produce more amazing contents.